where an ultrasound was performed, which revealed viable intrauterine, mark the word intrauterine pregnancy. They realized that this lady had a pregnancy in the uterus. Now, she went to a different hospital. The surgery was done in the Mission Hospital. This lady did not want to go back to the hospital where the uterus was removed. She went to the nearby hospital called Kapkate. And the person innocently did an ultrasound and realized that she was carrying a baby in a normal uterus. That's viable intrauterine pregnancy. This lady, Winnipeg, carried the child to term and delivered SVD. That's through the birth canal. And the only way for you to deliver through the birth canal is that there is a connection between the birth canal and the uterus. And for that baby to have come out, it means there was a normal uterus that pushed the baby through contractions. She underwent normal delivery, normal labor stages, pain of uterine contractions, and delivered a healthy baby, meaning that the uterus that was in was normal, able to contract and push a baby. So what we know and we understand now that is Winnipeg has a child that was conceived by a normal uterus. So the question is, how did the egg get to the uterus that was not there? Now there are two things. A new uterus is there with communications all the way, which means with fallopian tubes communicating to the ovary. That's where the egg came from and traveled all the way through the fimbria to the endometrium, where the egg was reimplanted. In other words, this is a brand new uterus. So the question, precious people, is where did this uterus come from? I don't know what is going in your head or in your brain or in your thoughts. Just ponder a bit. Let me just go over this diagram again. How the Creator created a brand new uterus and reimplanted it to align itself with the birth canal. As I told you, the surgery that was done was supracervical hysterectomy, was removed from here upwards. Then the Creator came with both fallopian tubes connected to the ovary that was left behind, then aligned it with the stem, the small stem of the cervix and the birth canal, and created the broad ligaments that holds the uterus. Because when you are doing hysterectomy, you remove the broad ligaments and the round ligaments that holds the uterus in position not to suck down. So the Lord created blood vessels, the uterine arteries that supplies this uterus, the nerves, the lymphatics that human beings cannot do. Perfect transplantation by the Creator using a brand new uterus. What a miracle.
Mungu. This woman here, this lady here, God will debate. Was not hard either. Ale magas kami.
Kwa majina yangu naitwa Winnipeg. Nilikuwa na shida ya uchungu kwenye tumbo langu. Nilipokutana na daktari mkuu huko Tenwek ambaye anashughulikia kina mama, akanieleza kwamba utumbo langu la uzazi umeoza na ulikuwa unafaa kutolewa. Nilienda utumbo la uzazi ukang'olewa pale Tenwek, na ilipong'olewa mimi nikarudi nyumbani. Nilipofika nyumbani kuna mkutano ambao ulikuwa unatangazwa ya uponyaji, na kwenye eneo hili letu lilikuwa huko Sotik Primary. Nilipofika kwenye mkutano huo, manabii wakuu wa Bwana walikuwa wanapiga simu kupitia kwenye masafa ya redio ya Yesu ni Bwana. Niliguswa kwenye mkutano huo wakati manabii wa Bwana walipokuja moja kwa moja hewani, nikaanguka chini, baadaye nikaamka, sikujua ni nini kilichoendelea na nikarudi nyumbani. Nilipomaliza mwezi moja nikahisi kwamba mwili wangu umebadilika. Nikaenda kwenye zahanati za afya mbalimbali kukutana na daktari. Waliponichunguza wakaniambia kwamba wewe mjamzito. Waliponieleza hivyo mimi sikuamini, kwa maana nilikuwa nimeng'olewa utumbo la uzazi, na nikaamua kwenda Kapkatet kupigwa picha. Nilipoenda hospitali ya Kapkatet na kunipiga ile picha ya ultrasound, wakaniambia kwamba wewe mjamzito.
Amwa familia nenyunet, lakini kimayan akichek ngamun kiakisto kotab lakwet en Tenwek.
Niliposikia hivyo hata nami nikastuka na nikakuja kuelezea familia yangu, na wao wakashangaa sana, kwa maana hata na wao walikuwa wanajua kwamba utumbo langu la uzazi umeng'olewa huko Tenwek.
So kianyabur atesta akoi tarikit 29 arawetab 8 awe Kapkatet.
Nilikuja kuendelea kukaa nyumbani hadi tarehe 29 mwezi wa 8 nikaenda Kapkatet.
Akikoron tarikit 30 asich baby Emmanuel kobaibai kou lagok.
Tarehe 30 nikamzaa mtoto Emmanuel akiwa na furaha kama watoto wengine.
So tarikit 31 kebiron picha.
Tarehe 31 wakanipiga ile picha ya ultrasound.
Nekiboru kole mi kotab lakwet komie.
Iliyoonyesha kwamba utumbo la uzazi wa mtoto uko sawa na uko salama.
So awekchi kongoi Jehova nebo maotik aeng, ngamun kiyong maotik aeng kobwa ngweny emoni asibitanyor kamang'unet nekiyakobet.
Nikashukuru Yehova aliyetuma manabii wakuu wa Bwana waje katika nchi hii ili hata nami nipate tumaini, kwa maana nilikuwa nimepoteza matumaini.
So atinye kongoi neo en taitab Jehova ngamun kiyong maotik aeng kobwa ngweny emoni asikenyorunen kamang'unet.
Nina furaha sana na nashukuru manabii wakuu wa Bwana kwa kutumwa na Yehova ili nami nipate tumaini kama Mama Winnie.
Asante.
Asante.
majina mimi naitwa Enoch Bet, bwana ya Winnie Bet, baba ya Emmanuel Kimwetich.
Unatoka wapi na ilianzaje, mlijuana kwa muda gani?
Natoka county ya Bomet, sub county ya Sotik. Nilioa Winnie 2005, miaka 15 mpaka wa leo. Alikuwa na shida, alikuwa anaumwa na tumbo. Wakati nilioa yeye, tukakaa na yeye mpaka 2013 ndio nikapeleka Prямoi Hospital. Akafanyia upasuaji wa kwanza. Akafanyia upasuaji wa kwanza, ilikuwa tumbo ya uzazi. Akafanyia operation na haikutolewa kitu yoyote. Tukarudi nyumbani. Ile turudi nyumbani, hiyo shida ikaendelea bado, ile ya kuumwa na tumbo. Nikapeleka Litein Hospital. That is mara ya pili, 2016. Yeah. Nikapeleka Litein Hospital. Akafanyia upasuaji. Hawakutoa kitu yoyote kwa tumbo ya uzazi. Akaniambia hiyo shida itaendelea tu maisha yake yote. Utasikia uchungu maisha yake yote.
Ilikuwa ni uchungu mbaya sana.
Ilikuwa uchungu mbaya sana, ilikuwa anaumwa na tumbo. Sasa wakatupea painkillers, tukarudi nyumbani. 2017 tukaenda 2016 bado nikapeleka Prямoi Hospital. Tatu hiyo ni mara ya 3. Akafanyia upasuaji. Vile alifanyia upasuaji,
sasa mara ya 3,
hiyo ni mara ya 3 nikapeleka Prямoi Hospital. Yeah.
Sasa ndio wakuje watoe sasa utumbo.
Watoe utumbo sasa.
Lakini sasa kabla ya hapo ilikuwa ni shida ambayo ilikuwa imekuwa kwa muda gani sasa?
Ilikuwa ni shida imekaa kwa muda zaidi ya miaka 15.
So ilikuwa ni shida imekaa zaidi ya miaka 15.
Yeah, exactly. So daktari akaniambia tumepiga picha. Tukaona shida ni tumbo ya uzazi imeharibika. Wakakuja wakaniambia sasa hakuna otherwise. Itabidi sasa watoe. Sasa wakaniletea form. Nikajaza. Wakaniambia tutafanyia upasuaji. Nikaweka sign. Wakafanyia upasuaji. Vile walifanyia upasuaji, akatoa hiyo tumbo ya uzazi.
Okay. Yeah. Kidogo tu, ile form ambayo ulitia sahihi, ilikuwa ni form ya kuonyesha nini, ya kudhibitisha nini ama kuonyesha nini?
Hiyo form yenye nilijaza, yani inaonyesha kwamba nimekubali tumbo ya uzazi itolewe. Sasa nikaweka sign. Juu sasa hiyo ilikuwa shida yenyewe, daktari ameamua mwenyewe. Mimi nami pia sasa sikuwa na otherwise, sasa nikaweka sign. Juu sasa wakaniambia hiyo shida inaishia hapo. Vile walifanyia upasuaji, wakakuja wakaniambia sasa mambo ya watoto haitakuwepo tena. Sasa hapo sasa nikaelewa sasa kama daktari ameamua hivyo, shida yenyewe sasa sina otherwise. Nikakubali na nikasema sasa wacha tukae tu hivyo. Juu sasa daktari alikuwa ameamua. Yeah. Wakaweka kwa bed, sasa wakapeleka kwa theater ndani. Mimi nilikuwa nimesimama hapo. Akanielezea. Sijali mambo ya watoto sasa imeishia hapo. Haitakuwepo tena. Mtakaa tu hivyo. Lakini wakapiga picha wakanitumia. Nikasema Yesu ni Bwana. Sasa vile Kimwetich alisaliwa, nikasema Mungu kweli wa nabii anaishi milele.
My name is Dominic Oliechumam. I work with the Ministry of Health, the county government of Kisumu, and I work as the quality assurance manager and also epidemiologist. Today is a very big day that we come here with Winnie Betts. She was totally, her uterus was totally removed in a level 6 hospital in Tenwek. And you don't expect somebody whose uterus has been removed to have a baby. So today we are just walking in to do the test that is going to ascertain Winnie is the mother to Emmanuel. After the result is out, that is going to give us the comparison that this is the true child of Winnie Betts.
My name is Victor Sewe. I work with the Kenya Medical Research Institute at its Center for Global Health Research in Kisumu, and I'm a medical laboratory scientist with over 3 years of experience. Now, the result, which is subject to discussion, which is here before us, is a maternity testing to determine that the alleged mother and the baby that was taken, whose samples were taken for testing, does it mean really that the baby belongs to the mother or not? And as said by the quality manager, this is an evidence that can be tabled in court. So I want just to give a background of this test, that when you check on relatedness between two people, where you have an alleged mother and a child or a father, then we know that every person usually inherits half of their DNA from either of the parents. That could be the mother or the father, their biological parents. And by examining their DNA from the person and the parents, it is possible to determine the elements that were gained, that were inherited from the biological mother. And so in this case of Winnie Betts and Emmanuel Kipngetich, it's a maternity testing because we are trying to connect between the alleged mother and the child, that they are related and the child was born of the mother. And this is a test that was recently, these are results that were recently generated on 2nd of July 2020 from the government chemist laboratory. This is the date these results were released by the government, and the conclusion of the government analyst is that based on the findings, there are 99.99 and above more chances that Winnie Betts, who is the alleged mother, is the biological mother to Emmanuel Kipngetich. And the seal of the government department is attached. So based on the findings from the government chemist, which is a reputable laboratory under the office of the president, the findings have come to a conclusion that over 99.99% are more chances that Winnie Betts, who is the alleged mother, is surely the biological mother. How do we come, or how did the laboratory come to that conclusion? So we know that the chromosomes that are usually of the mother are XX. So the mother has the chromosomes that are XX, and because she gave birth to a male child who is Emmanuel, he is supposed to have XY that we have in this case. And so there are usually 15 gene loci or the alleles that will always lead to a relationship, or or rather the conclusion that the mother and the child are really one and the same thing. And we have 15. So when you check on this column, we have got D8S 51179 as the first locus, and for the mother at XX from her chromosome, we have 14 and 16. And the baby who was given birth to has 12 and 14. And so the mother and the baby are sharing 14. And so on the shared alleles with Emmanuel from Winnie, we have 14. And the maternity index is 1.6129. If I pick the fourth locus, then we have CSFIPO, where the mother's chromosome XX has 1111, and the child who is male at XY has 1114. So therefore, the shared allele from the mother is 11. And when you check on this column where they are shared, we find that all the 15 shared loci, the male child inherited them. And so this is a clear evidence that for sure there cannot be any other mother who can claim Emmanuel Bet apart from Winnie Bet. And so when you check at the tail end of this result, we have the maternity index as high as 6.4 times 10 raised to power 7. This is a high maternity index that infers that for sure over 99%, that is 100%. And without any doubt, for sure, Winnie Bet is the biological mother of Emmanuel keeping a teach. And so if what I have come to understand is that this mother, her uterus was removed, and finally she's been able to conceive, something that is not possible in layman's understanding or an ideal situation, then it really means that this is a miracle. And as a specialist, as a professional in this area, this really is the hand of God. There is no way in the published medical journals where we have read or where we have been taught in the research centers that a mother who does not have a uterus can end up giving birth to a child.
What I can say today is, and you can see even the title, this is the office of the president. So this is a legal matter. This is a legal document that is admissible in any court of law. But this is not a simple and normal procedure done in ordinary laboratories. This is done in a forensic lab. And this lab is the lab that is synonymous with disputes. If there's any dispute about maternity cases, paternal cases, this is where there is supposed to be taken care of. And you can see this laboratory is under the office of the president, Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government. And that means this document therefore proves that Winnie Bet is the true biological mother to Emmanuel.
Daktari, today we are here in your facility, and the reason that brings us here today is that there is a case of Winnie Bet, and this lady, her uterus was completely removed, and she's from Sotik in the county of Bomet. And currently, as we are talking, Daktari, Winnie Bet conceived and right now has a baby. And so we are here that you may shed more light on this case, because we fail to understand if someone's womb was removed, the uterus was completely removed, and today she is having a child. How possible is this, Daktari?
I'm Dr. Beatrice Bonyo. I'm a gynecologist, obstetrician, and I'm working at Milimani Maternity Hospital. I have been a doctor for the past 36 years, and I specialized as an obstetrician gynecologist 28 years ago. So you have just asked, how possible is it to have someone whose uterus has been removed to get a baby? I also had, and then I saw some WhatsApp information about a woman who had the removal of the uterus. In fact, according to that document, even that the uterus was taken for histology to confirm that it was a uterus, and for sure it was a uterus. And the operation also, according to those records, was done by a very, very senior gynecologist at Tenwick Hospital. And this made me get interested, because I said I would like to know how comes this woman is pregnant. I followed up and found that serial ultrasounds were done in 2018, which confirmed that that pregnancy was intrauterine. And also, she delivered naturally. It was a shock, and we wondered whether it was really possible. And with this, further testing was also done to confirm whether she has that uterus, and still it confirmed that even after delivery, her uterus is there and is normal by CT scan and MRI, that she has a uterus. This is a shocking news in our medical field, because it has never happened. There is no record of somebody having, just naturally reconstructing a uterus. This must be doing of the Almighty. This is a miracle. It is a miracle that we, as the medical fraternity, are shocked to the core, because after we have done a hysterectomy, in most cases, the women have no hope. We have nothing to offer them except to tell them to adopt children. But now there is hope. We can allow our women to seek the counsel of the Almighty, their Creator, who is able to make the removed uteruses, is able to transplant supernaturally, is able to give them another uterus, even if the one they initially had has been removed.
Bishop Justin Langat, the presiding bishop of Sotik region, the region from which Winnie Bates and Emmanuel Kimugatich come. And I'm here to give you a testimony concerning this wonder that the Lord has deposited not just in Sotik, but in this nation of Kenya, and which has powerfully ministered to the entire world, to the professionals and to the non-professionals alike, to the lofty and to the lowly alike. We all remember that before Winnie Bates met and encountered the very powerful voice of the mightiest prophets of the Lord, she went through a lot of suffering, and in that suffering, it also brought a lot of turmoil to the marital life of Winnie Bates and her husband Enoch. And this is what I want to share in brief, even as we glorify the Lord for this wonder. The time when Winnie had not even gone for operation in Tenwek Level 6 Hospital, she went through a lot of suffering. You remember, as she shared in quite a number of times in her testimonies, that at times she would be in the garden weeding her vegetables, and then the pain that she was experiencing in the rotting uterus would cause her to start uprooting the vegetables and throwing them away. She will start rolling around, rolling on the ground, feeling a lot of pain because of the suffering she was going through. At times also, Winnie Bates at night would again be visited by these very strong pains that she would not sleep. And the husband had to get even a boda, a motorcycle from a neighbor, to rush her to hospital for help. Now, this kind of life truly started straining their marital relationship even back at home. It was because I glorify God that the time when Enoch Bates came home and be reunited with the wife, we were together and they both received the Lord afresh. And this is the beauty now of the ministry where we are in, which is the ministry of the Lord, where the Lord God has sent his two mightiest prophets, that each of us may live a life of repentance, a life that pleases God. Look at how now we are really celebrating the testimony of the new uterus that Winnie Bates has, the functional uterus, which the surgeon that very, very senior surgeon at the level of a professor from America has testified that it is even better than the original one, testifying to the power and the authority that is in the anointing that the Lord has deposited in the mightiest, mightiest prophets who are here navigating us and preparing us for eternity.
Kimawit village, we are visiting the home of Winnibet, the healed of the Lord. She did not have a uterus. It was removed in Tenwek Level 6 Hospital, and upon the degree by the two most tremendous prophets of the Lord through the radio some years ago, the Lord healed her, and the Lord gave her a new uterus. She conceived, gave birth, and we are going to visit them, find out their progress report, how they are going on, and see also how the boy has been able to grow up. Magatia? Good boy. Nyun ba gagi. Damaga unik tuana. Namaga unik tua. Bas. Cima mai. Thank you so much, Winnibet and the husband. Thank you so much for allowing us to come and find the progress, report how you are going on. How has life been ever since the Lord blessed you with Emmanuel? How has life been? She says she thanks Jehovah so much because of the great wonder that he did in this family. She says that now we are very happy as a family as we go on very well. Having beholding this wonder, having been blessed by baby Emmanuel, Emmanuel, we are going on well. Emmanuel has been growing on very well in a very wonderful way. We have never had any problem because this is a wonder that the Lord deposited in us, and it has been going on very well. He says Emmanuel is now 2 years old and 2 years 8 months old. He says Emmanuel has been able to learn how to speak. He is almost now very stable in speaking the language that they learn here in the village. He says we thank Jehovah so much for sending us his two most tremendous prophets, that through them we have a lot of joy and happiness as a family.
Amen.
Thank you so much. Enoch, the husband now, the father to Emmanuel, what can you say? How has life been? He says his name is Enoch Bet, the father to Emmanuel Kipmwetich. He is the husband to Winnie Bet. He says he thanks the Lord for giving him life. He thanks the Lord also for the Lord healing his wife Winnie Bet. He says he thanks the Lord and worships Jehovah for giving them baby Emmanuel. The Lord has helped them. They are now able to work in the family. He says they are now very stable. They have no problem as a family. They work very well in their farm. They get food very well because of the joy that they have. Remember, earlier on when this problem was there in this homestead, we heard from Winnie that time that they were not at peace because of the pressure from the family, rejection. And so the husband is saying now they are able to work together in the farm, get their food, live very well. He says they thank the Lord so much. He says he enjoys life so much. He says everything is well, enjoying when Emmanuel is growing up very well. He says whenever he arrives in the evening after going out there looking for to fend for the family, when he arrives home and then his boy now receives him in home, he finds him happy, it gives joy to him. He says they thank the Lord so much.
I saw a dream today in the morning. I want to share this dream. And in that dream, they stormed Nigeria. They invaded them, humiliated them, held them captive. There were so many people, and the line was so long, huge line. The beast is devouring Nigeria. Everybody is watching, all over the world. That's what the Lord is saying here. In the book of Isaiah 35, Isaiah chapter 35, I am reading Isaiah 35, 8 and 9. He says, and a highway will be there. Again, and in some versions they say, and the highway shall be there. In other words, say, when that time arrives, there will be a highway. You see that? And he says, and the highway will be there. It will be called the way of holiness. And say way, capital W, the way of holiness. The unclean will not journey on it. And he said, it will be for those who walk in that way, capital W, in that way. Meaning, those who walk in that lifestyle. The unclean will not be there in this highway. And then he says, wicked fools will not go about on it. And then he finishes by saying, verse 9, he says, no lion will be there, nor will any ferocious beast get upon it. They will not be found there, but only the redeemed shall walk there. The Lord is saying that the power unto man is in the highway. He says, even no ferocious beast shall come to devour you on the way. That is the true power of the Lord, right? Right? But I see in Nigeria, the ferocious beast and so I have come to ask you, on which way are you walking? Which highway is Nigeria following right now? In other words, is she really on the highway of the Lord? Because the other highway, the devourer is there. That is the way that Nigeria followed. And in that dream, they stormed Nigeria. They invaded them, humiliated them, held them captive. There were so many people, and the line was so long, huge line. The beast is devouring Nigeria. Everybody is watching, all over the world. That's what the Lord is saying here.
April 14, 2014. On that day, we don't know anything. We are just hearing gunshots outside, and we saw people coming in with soldiers' uniform.
They told us that they are military, they're here to protect us, and they call us to come and gather together. And they said that we should move on straight line out to the gates. And some of us said that they are not going. And they said that if you are not going, they will shoot you.
And they said that, okay, let's start burning the hostels. When I say, what? Burning the hostels, soldiers burning hostels. how is that possible? They said they are not soldiers, they are Boko Haram.
It was the failure of the state to have allowed those girls to stay one day in the den of the abductors. The moment Michelle Obama carried that placard, boom, everyone was talking about the Chibok girls.
Nigerians showing solidarity with the plight of the many Chibok girls still in captivity.
Hello and welcome to News Central Studios, reaching you live from Lagos, Nigeria. I'm Sulaiman Ahmed, and here are the top stories of this hour. Nigeria and the world remember abducted Chibok girls 7 years after. Well, it's been 7 years since over 200 schoolgirls were abducted from their school in Chibok, a town in northern Nigeria. The tale of the Chibok girls caught the attention of many across the world, and the hashtag #BringBackOurGirls went viral. News Central remembers the Chibok girls.
On the 9th of 14th April 2014, 276 mostly Christian female students were kidnapped by a terrorist group, Boko Haram, from the government secondary school in the town of Chibok in Borno State, Nigeria. In the months following the incident, 57 of the schoolgirls escaped, while others were rescued by the Nigerian military forces on several occasions. The kidnapping of the schoolgirls sparked an uproar in Nigeria, and the hashtag #BringBackOurGirls was born. The hashtag soon went viral, and major celebrities and world leaders soon began to identify with it. Between 2016 and now, at least 90 of the Chibok girls have either escaped or been rescued, while others remain in captivity.
Well, Wednesday, April 14th, will mark 7 years since the kidnap of 276 girls from government secondary school Chibok by Boko Haram insurgents. The attack sparked the hashtag #BringBackOurGirls, an international campaign embraced by then US First Lady Michelle Obama and Chibok, a remote, little-known town before the happenings came to represent Nigeria's face of insecurity. 7 years later, there are still many questions left unanswered on the whereabouts of many of the girls remain unknown.
An estimated 20 Nigerian students are still missing after gunmen attacked the private Greenfield University in northern Kaduna yesterday evening, as communicated by a police official to the media on Wednesday.
The school management and security agencies on the ground inform Kaduna State government that a staff of the university was killed here, and some students were also kidnapped.
As some students might have fled the scene, authorities are unclear about how many have actually been abducted by the bandits. In the region, this has been the 5th school assault since December.
Turn to Kaduna State, where in recent times the state has been facing a series of attacks by bandits, including assaults on schools. And barely 3 days after gunmen invaded a private university, kidnapping unspecified number of students, the story is no longer the same. Now, 3 students of the Greenfield University kidnapped recently have been killed by their abductors. Confirming the development, the Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwan, said the remains of the students were found on Friday in Kwanan Bature village, a location close to the university, and have been evacuated to a mortuary by himself and the Force Commander, Operation Thunderstrike, Lieutenant Colonel Emich Abdullahi. Meanwhile, Governor Nasser El-Rufai has condemned the killing of the 3 students as sheer wickedness, inhumanity, and an outright desecration of human lives by vile entities.
Gunmen suspected to be kidnappers have abducted some students during an attack on a private university in Kaduna State on Tuesday night, April 20, 2021. Eyewitnesses said the gunmen stormed the university last night and started shooting sporadically before taking some of the students away.
Police in Nigeria have confirmed an attack by gunmen on a private university in northern Kaduna State, killing 1 staff member and kidnapping some students. Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security, Samuel Aruwan, confirmed that a staff member had been killed during the raid.
The school management and security agencies on the ground inform Kaduna State government that a staff of the university was killed here, and some students were also kidnapped.
These are aggrieved parents of the kidnapped students of Greenfield University in Kaduna State. The expressions on their faces is an indication that all isn't well. They are here to discuss ways of ensuring the rescue of their wards from captivity following Tuesday's abduction of 20 of them from the institution. In addition to the 20 students, 3 members of staff were also kidnapped, while another staff member was shot dead during the operation. However, there is a twist in the tale when the bodies of these 3 students were found on Friday, April the 23rd, at a village near the school. Mrs. Loretta Tahiru is a mother to one of the abducted students of the university, unable to keep her emotion in check. She describes the condition as devastating, especially as she was with him just hours before the incident.
He returned to the school on Tuesday, only for me to hear on Wednesday that my son has been kidnapped. It is a nightmare. I have not slept. I have not slept. I have not eaten. I'm appealing to the public to assist us. The demand is unbearable. The amount is unthinkable.
So as many of you already know, 3 of the students kidnapped last week at the Greenfield University in Kaduna State have been found dead. The bandits broke into the private university located along the Kaduna-Abuka Highway in Chicken local government area on April 20th. They were shooting sporadically before whisking away an unspecified number of students at the time.
This is the College of Engineering at the Federal University of Agriculture, Makurdi in Benue State. Activities here are on the downside following the abduction of 4 students of the college last Saturday night. This abandoned vehicle with registration number Kogi 254 KPA is said to belong to one of the kidnapped victims, who was forcefully taken away with 3 others when the gunmen stormed the campus, and it has remained there since then. Tried as we did, we could not get some of the students to comment on the matter, but this eyewitness gives an insight into how the incident played out.
We discovered a car was parked outside. The car was actually empty. So we realized they took 2 students from the car and other students which followed them, and they came and passed through the bush. They were able to go with about 5 persons thereabout, but we cannot say specifically. But one of the students is from engineering and is a well-known person.
The militants fired rocket-propelled grenades before overpowering the army convoy. The fighters from the Islamic State West Africa province ISWAP had staged an ambush at Mainok, just outside Borno's regional capital Maiduguri. Military sources put the death toll at 31. The militants later overran a nearby base, partially burning it down. They seized weapons and 2 personnel carriers in the attack. The attack was the deadliest this year against Nigeria's army, which has been battling a decade-long insurgency. The convoy was transporting weapons to Maiduguri when it came under attack. ISWAP split from mainstream Boko Haram faction in 2016 and rose to become a dominant force in Nigeria's northeast.
Драгоценные люди, мы здесь видим, что слова мощнейших пророков Господних исполнились. И мы видим здесь это хищение в Нигерии.
There is a twist in the tale when the bodies of these 3 students were found on Friday, April the 23rd, at a village near the school. Mrs. Loretta Tahiru is a mother to
20 апреля 2021 года. И родители плачут о похищенных детях.
Victims, who was forcefully taken away with 3 others when the gunmen stormed the campus.
Which followed them and they came and passed through the bush. They were able to go with about 5 persons thereabout, but we cannot say specifically. But one of the students is from engineering and is a well-known person.
The militants fired rocket-propelled grenades before overpowering the army convoy.
Очень удивительно, драгоценные люди, здесь 26 апреля 2021 года.
Military sources put the death toll at 31. The militants later overran a nearby base, partially burning it down. They seized weapons and 2 personnel carriers in the attack. The attack was the deadliest this year against Nigeria's army, which has been battling a decade-long insurgency. The convoy was transporting weapons to Maiduguri when it came under attack. ISWAP split from mainstream Boko Haram faction in 2016 and rose to become a dominant force in Nigeria's northeast.
Jihadists kill 31 soldiers in northeast.
Это 26 апреля 2021 года.
Soldiers were killed when aligned jihadists ambushed a military convoy escorting weapons and overran a base in northeast Nigeria's Borno state, military sources said on Monday. Fighters from the Islamic State West Africa province, ISWAP, attacked the convoy with rocket-propelled grenades on Sunday in the town of Mainok outside the regional capital Maiduguri before storming. We lost 31 soldiers, including their commander who was a lieutenant colonel, in the ambush by the terrorists, a military officer said about the attack which happened around 1100 GMT.
Драгоценные люди, пророчества, которые дали мощнейшие пророки Господни о Нигерии, она исполнилась. Очень удивительно, слова мощнейших пророков Господних исполнились над Нигерией, потому что они пропустили покаяться. Драгоценные люди, пророчество из Нигерии исполнилось, потому что Нигерия пропустила покаяться. А здесь мы видим огромное мега пробуждение последнего времени. Могущественный Отец, Бог Илии и Моисея, могущественный Иегова, Ты мой единый и единственный друг, Иегова Элохим, Иегова Элохейну. Посмотри, у меня нет другого друга, кроме Тебя, Иегова. Отец, Ты можешь начать эту мощную встречу и высвободить огонь, и коснуться помощников гостей. Огонь, огонь, огонь. Огонь. Могущественный Отец, я высвобождаю теперь Твой огонь, чтобы коснуться пасторов. Коснись, коснись, коснись. Господь говорил со мной. Господь привел меня в больницу в Азию, и там было очень бедственное положение. Я вижу недостаток там. Не хватает оборудования. Многие люди переполняют больницы. Я вижу очень многое, что происходит. И там тесты, и многие люди делают тест. Будет великое бедственное положение, которое придет в Азию. Большое бедственное положение из Азии приходит. Это состояние, оно как никакое другое. Этот вид состояния, который Господь показал мне, будет развиваться на этой земле, будет распространяться на этой планете Земля. Господь также назвал Индию. Господь говорил со мной, и Господь привел меня в Индию, в больницу. Там есть очень сильное бедственное положение. И актуальные новости о коронавирусах. Множество народов Земли сообщили об этом ужасном состоянии, через которое они проходили через коронавирус. И здесь мы это видим в Индии.
Today, 2 more COVID-19 casualties are added to the more than 100,000 deaths. And more heartbroken families must mourn and grieve and bid farewell to their loved ones. This is what passes for an ordinary day as India gets hit by a second wave far more vicious than the first, preying on the most vulnerable. Today, Mohsin had to pick up the body of a 3-year-old girl.
My heart breaks. I have seen so many bodies.
Я видел столько мертвых тел. Здесь очень тяжелая работа.
The beeping in ICU wards, the soundtrack to a crisis steadily getting worse. Is not waking up. India's cases were starting to climb. This situation is unlike anything which we have seen ever before. We are really struggling and we are trying that we can deliver our best. But yes, it's really tough. The situation wearing on the doctors. Today, medical professionals in the country are sounding the alarm. India is now second only to the United States in having the most COVID cases, topping 5 million.
In most of the big cities, we are reaching a saturation point.
У Индии очень много случаев COVID-19.
There is a scarcity of ventilators.
Махараштра в Индии это город, где больше всех заболеваемых коронавирусом.
India has become the second worst hit country by the coronavirus pandemic in the world. With the official data released by the Indian Health Ministry, the country has surpassed Brazil in total number of COVID-19 infections. The country has also recorded its highest COVID-19 cases in the last 24 hours. This is also the highest one-day surge recorded anywhere in the world. 90,800 people have been tested positive for the lethal virus in the last 24 hours. The death toll climbed to over 71,600 after more than 1,000 people lost their lives to COVID-19.
With a record 90,802 new confirmed cases Monday, India has now surpassed Brazil. It stands as the second worst affected country in the world. Some 4.2 million people now have coronavirus in India.
Health authorities in India say the country has now exceeded 4 million coronavirus cases. Nearly 2 million new infections were recorded last month alone. India has the third highest total worldwide.
В стране Индии число заболеваемых коронавирусом все растет и растет.
India, one of the worst coronavirus hit countries in the world, has crossed the grim 4 million mark in terms of COVID cases.
The Lord has spoken to me again right now. He took me to India.
Господь только что со мной говорил, и Он взял меня в Индию, и я вижу, Господь привел меня в Индию, в больницу, и там очень бедственное положение. Мы видим это страшное состояние.
These are dead corpses on the bed, even as nurses are walking up and down past these corpses, the ward checking up on COVID patients.
A shocker from Mumbai. A video posted on Twitter by BJP MLA
Здесь мы видим эти страшные снимки в Мумбаи, в больнице.
in body bags. This horrifying clip is from Sion Hospital, which is run by the city's municipal corporation. At
И мы
least 7
видим
bodies are seen in
всех
the ward as patients are being
больных,
treated in
которые
adjoining beds.
находятся в
Some patients
больнице.
have family members attending to them, apparently ignoring bodies right behind them.
Здесь все вместе, и мертвые, и живые. Это очень страшное состояние здесь в Индии.
Mumbai's Sion Hospital's emergency wards are bursting at their seam with these horrifying images. Equally shocking video has come to light from another BMC-run KEM hospital in Mumbai's Parel area. Wards of the KEM hospital is packed with patients and their relatives. Patients and their kin lying on the floor as no bed is available. Many are without masks, ignoring any semblance of social distancing.
The capacity of the mortuary is 45.
Здесь мы видим многие пациенты, они без масок.
The mortuary was not able to handle the situation. In 1 week, 108 dead bodies were.
Очень много мертвых тел, они просто собирают их вместе.
We played out visuals coming in from Mumbai and the apathy, as far as the handling of the dead bodies is concerned. But now these visuals coming in from LNJP is shocking. Some dead bodies, we're being told, were thrown in the passage.
Well, that is right. The visuals are shocking to say the least, because the capacity of the LNJP mortuary is only 45 dead bodies at a time. But we are seeing that there were, in fact, in last 1 week, there were more than 100 dead bodies that were at the mortuary, and because of which, one after the other, it was getting difficult for the LNJP mortuary, for the authorities to deal with the situation. Now we know that there was, in fact, a number of, on one rack itself, there were 2 bodies that were kept, and there were around 28 bodies that was thrown at the passage, because there was no space at all to keep these bodies at the rack. There were few bodies that were around 80 of them were kept on the rack, because there are around 40 racks are there. So in each rack, Swati, there were 2 dead bodies. Accordingly, there were 80 dead bodies that were kept there, and the rest of them were in fact left on the passage.
In a disturbing video that emerged on Tuesday, 8 bodies of coronavirus victims were wrapped in plastic and dumped into a common pit in Karnataka.
Мы здесь видим, как они здесь заворачивают тела в пластиковые мешки.
Chief Minister B.S. Yadurappa termed the behavior of the staff inhuman and painful.
The disturbing visuals that have gone viral on social media. You can see shots on our screens at the moment of a group of men in hazmat suits dumping body bags into a huge pit. What really is going on?
Well, the DC of Ballari, Nakul, has confirmed that this, in fact, was the burial of 8 people who had died of COVID-19. Now, of course, very distressing, because many times family members cannot access the bodies of those who have died and cannot perform the funeral rites as per their wishes. But the DC confirming this was, in fact, disrespectful, as you put it, something we deeply regret, the disrespectful handling of the body. This video has been widely shared, actually, and of course it's given a chance to the opposition in the state. Janata Dal Secular, the Congress of Shiv Kumar, has tweeted criticizing the BJP government's handling of the entire COVID situation, using this as an example. In fact, the deeply distressing visuals, really, the remains of 8 people who died of COVID in Ballari district in Karnataka being tossed into a pit. The field team.
In a shocking case, a COVID victim has been abandoned outside a hospital in Bhopal on Monday night. It isn't clear from these visuals whether the patient was dead or alive at the time that he was abandoned. A Discom employee, he had been admitted with a kidney ailment. He then developed breathing trouble and was suspected to have pneumonia. He was diagnosed with corona on Monday evening. The hospital administration, it seems, was keen to shift him to a dedicated COVID facility. After he took a turn for the worse, the ambulance driver allegedly abandoned him outside the hospital on a pavement of magisterial.
Первое декабря 2015, и Господь назвал в пророчестве Индию. Господь говорил еще раз со мной. Он взял меня в Индию, и Господь привел меня в Индию. И многие люди переполняют больницы. Очень страшное бедственное положение в Индии.
There is no space. So a patient who needs an ICU comes to the casualty, right? What do I do?
For every 200 patients, only one doctor was available.
So many like her are putting in all they can.
So we are struggling.
He's desperately trying to get more oxygen.
पेशेंट यहाँ पे नीचे लेके लेटा हुआ है, कचरा वहाँ पे पड़ा हुआ है सामने। ये डेड बॉडी कल शाम से यहाँ बड़े भाई थे 38 साल के रिकवर हो गए थे, ऑक्सीजन पे थे। मेरे सामने तड़प के ऑक्सीजन की मशीन बंद हो गई, कुछ नहीं आ रहा था मेरे सामने तड़प के खत्म हो गए। डॉक्टर चिल्लाते रह गए, कोई डॉक्टर नहीं आया, कोई डॉक्टर नहीं आया, कोई डॉक्टर नहीं आया, क्या करें
Lord has spoken to me again right now. He took me to India.
Господь говорил теперь со мной. Он привел меня в Индию. CBS News. Специальный репортаж. Мы видим здесь очень много пациентов COVID-19. Это сестра. Она пытается его пробудить, но он уже умер. Здесь это зал ожидания в Индии. Столько людей, зал переполнен. Больные лежат на полу. Это больница в Индии. Это пациенты COVID-19. И нет врачей, которые бы могли им помочь. Людям даже дают на улице кислород.
Field hospitals built last year to add to existing facilities are already full.
As India struggles with a catastrophic second wave, heartbreaking scenes playing out outside hospitals in the national capital. The tragic human face of the COVID crisis visible in the folded hands, desperate cries for help, and the heart-wrenching screams when all is lost. 35-year-old Jyoti Chauhan died, waiting outside Gangaram Hospital's casualty ward. The family said they had been searching for a bed since 6 a.m. and they had to face rejection from 15 hospitals before the 35-year-old passed away. Meanwhile, another female
Многие больницы даже
passed away.
отправили людей, потому что, то есть не приняли всех пациентов, потому что у них нет возможности.
All efforts failed. She had been denied admission by 4 other hospitals. Running short of beds, patients could be seen lying outside the emergency ward of the GTB hospital as well.
Пациенты лежат на улице.
With people pleading hospital staff to provide their loved ones with oxygen masks. India's healthcare system is under severe stress, with many prominent hospitals reporting severe shortage of oxygen and even beds. The situation looks grim, to say the least.
Ситуация очень страшна в Индии.
Capital on its knees. Many of these people won't survive the night. Sir, for 1 minute, come and look at my mother. A man pleads. A doctor follows him to the ambulance and prepares to say the words he's had to say over and over again in the past day alone. She's no more. Her family, among hundreds in India, denied even the chance of saving a loved one. COVID-19 has hit this country with a ferocity not seen before.
We are definitely overburdened. We are already working at the full capacity, rather double of the capacity. Our initial ICU beds were less, but now we have increased just double the number of ICU beds. Initially it was only 54 ICU beds. Now we have 300 plus ICU beds.
बड़े भाई थे 38 साल के थे, रिकवर हो गए थे, ऑक्सीजन पे थे। मेरे सामने तड़प के ऑक्सीजन की मशीन बंद हो गई, कुछ नहीं आ रहा था मेरे सामने तड़प के खत्म हो गई।
Corona bodies.
जो गाड़ी लगा उसको यूज कर लो ना यार। ले लो।
Vishwaroop Sharma believes he is living in hell. 3 days ago, he drove his critically ill father, who contracted COVID, to a Delhi hospital and pleaded for help. With no beds, no oxygen, they were forced to wait outside.
Was saying that I'm going, I won't be able to breathe. I need something. I need more medicines, but nothing is provided to him, and he died in front of me on my.
As you can see, to put another trolley. What do? We can only do that much.
NDTV 24/7.
The situation is so bad, as we saw in that hospital authorities begging for oxygen. This CEO of one small hospital in Delhi actually breaks down, saying, "What can we do? Patients will die."
We probably, you see, we as a doctor, we as a hospital, we are supposed to give life. If we cannot give them oxygen even, what is the situation? When patient comes to the patient will die. Patient will die. They are trying to help, but there is no oxygen. There is no oxygen. We know this. In India, the reaction to the pandemic is now turning to anger. Recently in Delhi, a group of people turned on medics and security guards at a hospital.
after they discovered a 67-year-old relative was denied an ICU bed and instead died in a hospital waiting room. Similar scenes are playing out across the country. There's been anger south of Delhi when people have turned up at a hospital only to discover their relatives have died because there is not enough oxygen. Doctors say they don't have oxygen, they don't have beds, and they don't have medicines.
The situation in India is beyond heartbreaking.
The incidence was almost vertical if you looked at that epi curve.
Kind of distress, like Lord has shown me just a few minutes ago when He took me to Asia, will develop on this earth, will throb on this planet Earth, will throb on this planet Earth. The Lord has spoken to me again right now. He took me to India. The Lord took me into a hospital in India. There's a very big distress there.
It's mutating, and it could throw off other variant strains.
दूसरा दौर जो आया है कोरोना का, ये लगभग 5 या 6 तारीख से शुरू हो गया अप्रैल की, और पहले जैसे पहले दिन 4 बॉडी आया, 5 आया, 10 आया, करते करते मैक्सिमम जो हमारा परसों गया था 122 गया था। स्पॉट था, लेकिन जब भर गया इधर, फिर ये भी भर गया, हमारा 46 भर गया, तो ज़मीन पे किया, तो मैंने कमिश्नर साहब को रिक्वेस्ट किया EDMC, तो उन्होंने बोला ठीक है हम बना देते हैं। 10 बनाया, फिर 20 बनाया, फिर 40 बनाया, अभी 100 का अरेंजमेंट है हमारे पास। अभी इससे ज़्यादा बढ़ जाएगा तो किधर करेगा, रोड पे करेगा और कहाँ करेगा। उससे हमारा दिल बहुत टूट जाता है, हमारी आंखों में पानी आ जाता है, मुझे लगता है कि यार दिल्ली में क्या हो रहा है, क्या हो रहा है दिल्ली के अंदर। तो सोच भी नहीं सकता था इतना भयानक मंजर आएगा।
No more graphic an illustration of just how bad the coronavirus crisis is hitting India than this. This is a makeshift crematorium. It's actually not meant to exist. This has been set up by the residents around here who cannot cope with the number of dead. Behind me are all the funeral pyres that represent a mother, a father, a daughter, a son, an uncle, a loved one to someone, a friend to someone. Each one of those fires is a coronavirus death. And we have been watching, in just the last few minutes alone, they've been coming in virtually every second. They simply can't cope. And this is not one of the official funeral sites. This is an ad hoc one. One they're bringing in the wood as we wait to prepare for yet more casualties coming in.
48 साल अवस्था हो गई, लाइफ में ऐसा दृश्य भयावह हमने कभी नहीं देखा। सोचा भी नहीं था कि एक साथ 20-22 डेड बॉडी जल रही हैं, 15-20 लाइन में हैं, जो कि इसके बाद 10-15 तो आपके जो इसमें लगी हुई हैं इलेक्ट्रिक वाले थे।
has spoken to me again right now. He took me to India. The Lord took me into a hospital in India. There's a very big distress there. The doctors are running up and down and many people flooding into the hospital.
क्योंकि इसके बाद 10-15 ठो आपके जो इसमें लगी हुई हैं इलेक्ट्रिक वाले पे
हम लोग भी 5-6 घंटे पहले हम लोग आते थे तो मैक्सिमम या उसको कम से कम कहिए या ज़्यादा कहिए तो 10 से 15 मिनट ही लगता था। लकड़ियाँ इकट्ठी हो जाती तो लाशों को लगा दिया जाता था तो जलने में जितना
Mass cremations begin in India as coronavirus deaths in the capital of New Delhi soar. If this continues, they say they would have no other choice but to cremate bodies on the road.
There are too many dead to cope with right now in parts of the Indian capital, and they're piled up in vehicles outside. It's massively distressing and hugely undignified. They're working all hours inside. They just can't stop. And it's been like this for the last 2 weeks, all day and all night. The bodies just keep on coming. Whilst we were there, bodies were being brought in every few minutes. There's no room left inside the crematorium, so they've spilled out into the open ground next door.
The Lord has spoken to me again right now. He took me to India.
It's hard.
The Lord has spoken to me again right now. He took me to India. The Lord took me into a hospital in India. There's a very big distress there. The doctors are running up and down and many people flooding into the hospital.
Oxygen for COVID.
Coronavirus crisis.
Well, India is reporting its biggest daily surge in coronavirus cases since the pandemic began, crossing the 100,000 mark.
India has woken up to yet another peak in cases, the highest ever since the beginning of the pandemic reported in one single day.
Coronavirus crisis worsened in India as the nation reported more than 352,000 cases in the last 24 hours, with more than 2,800 deaths. This is the fifth consecutive day when India has reported more than 300,000 cases in a single day. India has reported more than 2,000 deaths for the past 6 days in a row, now nearing 3,000.
The Lord has spoken to me again right now. He took me to India.
Well, the actual number of COVID-19 deaths.
The Lord has spoken to me again right now. He took me to India. The Lord took me into a hospital in India. There's a very big distress there. The doctors are running up and down and many people flooding into the hospital.
Strains that have
The Lord has spoken to me again right now. He took me to India.
As the record surge in coronavirus cases, there might be another thing to worry about. A double mutant strain of COVID, which some believe is one of the reasons for the exponential surge in cases in India.
The Indian variant called B1617 has 2 key mutations in its spike protein. The first is called L452R, which is also found in a variant circulating in California, although the Indian virus has evolved independently. The second is called E484Q, a completely new mutation. Lab tests suggest both help the virus infect cells and evade antibodies. And while it's still unknown what real-world effect that would have on vaccines, the combination gives it the hallmark of a dangerous virus.
Emerged. The triple mutation variant in India has become a big cause of concern. It has been found in at least 3 states across the country, and this has got scientists quite worried here in India.
The India double mutation is a cause of concern, and now more and more evidence saying that it is likely to be something that has triggered this massive second wave in the country. And while we are still struggling with that, emerges the triple mutation. What is the triple mutation? Well, simply put, it refers to variants which have 3 different strains that have combined together to form a new variant. 1, how infectious is it? 2nd, how deadly is it? And 3rd, is it resistant to antibodies? Meaning, will vaccines work against these mutations? So far, there are no clear answers really, and that's the sad part when it comes to these pertinent questions, because India simply does not genome sequence enough to prepare a database. But 2 out of these 3 mutations in this variant are known to confer immune escape, making this not work against either acquired antibodies or the vaccine antibodies, which is a reason to worry.
Big news coming in. India now on the red list to many countries. Indian flights now, passenger flights been banned into Canada. Canada now bans passenger flights from India for 30 days amid rising COVID-19 cases. In fact, the concerns there over rising cases in India about mutation, the mutant variants of the virus in India has led to many countries now, including Canada, to ban passenger flights from India for the next 30 days.
The UK closes its doors to travellers from India as hospitals there run out of oxygen and infection rates hit levels unseen anywhere so far in the pandemic.
Little did we imagine that the once worst hit country of COVID-19, the United States, would send out an advisory to its citizens.
The Lord has spoken to me again right now. He took me to India. The Lord took me into a hospital in India. There's a very big distress there. The doctors are running up and down and many people flooding into the hospital.
List suspending entry of travelers from India. Let's start with Hong Kong. Hong Kong has now activated the emergency circuit breaker, which bans all passenger flights coming from India for 14-day period starting from April 20th. New Zealand also, earlier this month, has suspended entry of all passengers travelling from India. United Kingdom too has now put India on the travel red list. UAE has now banned all flights from India for the next 10 days starting April 25th. Canada too has now suspended all commercial and private passenger flights from India for the next 30 days starting April 22nd. India accounts for at least 20% of air travel into Canada, and Canadian officials now say a high number of passengers coming from India have now tested positive of COVID-19. This ban will, however, not apply to cargo flights to ensure smooth shipment of vaccines and other medical equipment. Now, the reason to why several countries are now drawing the line against travelers coming in from India is because internal surveys by the United Kingdom itself shows and suggests that at least 103 mutated variants of the COVID-19 has been found in India. The several mutated strains of COVID-19 cases found in India has raised serious concerns for people across the globe. The sheer numbers of active cases in India itself has deterred several countries from allowing its citizens to travel into India and vice versa. The United States Center for Disease Control itself has strictly advised its citizens against traveling into India.
So this red listing, and they do put it colorfully, has taken effect as of today, and the order is indefinite. It's likely to stay until matters in India get a good deal better and stay that way for a considerable period.
Meanwhile, in Brazil, nearly about 4,195 Brazilians are said to have lost their lives due to the COVID-19 infection in the last 24 hours. And this is the highest single-day death toll that has been reported from Brazil. And the surge has come as the more contagious variant of COVID-19 infection is wreaking havoc across the South American nation. Now, the country's total death toll is now said to be a staggering 337,000, second only to the United States of America. The situation across Brazil is very grim, and the healthcare system has pretty much all but collapsed.
Saudi Arabia Tuesday banned arrivals from 20 countries, including India and the United States, in an effort to contain the spread of the deadly coronavirus. It does include Saudi Arabia's neighboring nations, Egypt and the United Arab Emirates. The ban also included Lebanon, Turkey, Ireland, Italy, Portugal, Sweden and Switzerland. Apart from the US and India, travelers from Argentina, Brazil, Indonesia, Pakistan and South Africa have also been barred from entering the country. The temporary ban will also apply to travelers who pass through the 20 banned
Это в Сауди-Аравии.
the implementation of the ban, Saudi Arab's Interior Ministry said. At present, Saudi Arabia is reporting over 3.68 lakh COVID-19 cases and 6,383 deaths, according to the
Здесь
data
Сауди-Аравии.
by Johns Hopkins University.
Give us a little bit of perspective on why the Saudi government took this decision to
Интернациональные рейсы запрещены на неделю. Это доктор Адолла Асири из Сауди-Аравии. Он сообщает, что интернациональные рейсы закрыты в течение недели. И здесь мы видим этот рост COVID-19 во многих народах. И это здесь 4 апреля в Индии. Господь вышел штормом, чтобы поразить землю. Господь вышел, чтобы поразить землю за их хуление, за их богохульство, за их мерзость, аморальность. Аллилуйя. Я вижу очень тяжкие дни, которые перед вами. Господь вышел штормом, чтобы поразить землю за их беззаконие, за их грехи, за их хуление, за их богохульство, за их мерзость, за аморальность. Аллилуйя. Я вижу тяжкие дни, которые перед вами. И облако Божие приходит с неба, чтобы посетить землю. И это относится к Новой Зеландии, Соединенные Штаты Америки. Облако Божие приходит на землю. Облако Божие приходит в Европу, Финляндия, Испания, Соединенные Штаты Америки, Южной Америки. Концепсион, Чили, весь путь, Бруспен, Кенбра, Гисборн, Новой Зеландии, до концов земли, Южной Кореи, Бушан, Бейджин, Шанхай, Бушан. Господь приходит в город. И все же Господь настолько терпелив. Он дает вам время, благословенные люди. Так что между объявлением сейчас и потом, чтобы вы не были в нужде, когда Он придет. И тогда Господь исполнил слова. Господь подтвердил слова. Он подтвердил миру. Раньше мощнейшие пророки Господни сказали, Господь дал предупреждение, так чтобы вы знали, когда Он придет. Итак, мы были предупреждены, мы все были предупреждены, и каждый должен сделать покаяние и приготовить путь к пришествию Иисуса. Приготовьте путь к пришествию Мессии. Покайтесь и приготовьте путь к пришествию Мессии. Народы должны покаяться и возвратиться к святости. Большое пробуждение последнего времени, драгоценные люди. Здесь мы видим снимки из Кисуму, из Кении. Женщины на углу, выйдите, выйдите. Эти женщины, они с поля пришли. Могущественный Отец, Ты Отец из Навашей. Ты Отец этих драгоценных женщин, которые целый день работали на поле. Итак, могущественный Дух Святой, я приветствую Тебя. Посети этих женщин и коснись, 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 коснись. Коснись их, Господи. Поднимите ваши руки очень высоко. Огонь Господень падет здесь. Закройте ваши глаза, группа поклонения. Могущественный Отец, теперь ты можешь очистить группу поклонения. Пусть твой огонь падет здесь, на этом алтаре. Коснись, коснись, коснись. Это здесь Сан-Феликс, Новая Зеландия, драгоценные люди. Могущественный Отец, теперь я прошу Тебя, чтобы Ты принес свой огонь, Твой очень большой огонь, и коснись танцовщиков, коснись. Все поднимите ваши руки очень высоко. Ты теперь можешь посетить группу поклонения с моей правой стороны, начиная с мужчин. Пусть огонь Иеговы пойдет на группу поклонения там и коснись. Здесь мы видим Хигвей в Доминиканской Республике. Очень удивительно, Господь очень сильно коснулся людей. Драгоценные люди и мощнейшие пророки Господни, они были в разных народах, в Сантьяго, Чили, и здесь в Сеуле, в Южной Корее. Они сказали всему народу Южной Кореи, чтобы они покаялись и приготовились к пришествию Мессии. Здесь мы видим полный стадион в Сеуле, Южной Корее. Люди, которые принимают Иисуса. Весь путь до Новой Зеландии, до концов земли, Южная Корея, Инчон, Бушан, Бейджин, Шанхай, Хушан. Господь придет в город. И все же Господь, Он так терпелив, Он дает вам время, благословенные люди. Так что между объявлением и тогда, чтобы вы не попали в бедствие, когда Он придет, и тогда Господь исполнил слова. Господь подтвердил слова. Он подтвердил миру. Раньше мощнейшие пророки Господни сказали, что Господь дал предупреждение так, чтобы вы не были поражены, когда Он придет, и мы были предупреждены. Итак, каждый должен покаяться и приготовить путь к Его пришествию, пришествию Иисуса. Покайтесь и приготовьте путь к пришествию Господню. Народы должны покаяться и возвратиться к святости. Большое пробуждение последнего времени, драгоценные люди. Здесь мы видим снимки из Кисуму, Кении. Слава вас коснется, если я пройду мимо вас.
I'm going to pass by you.
Ninaenda kupita karibu nanyi.
And the glory of the Lord will touch you. as I pass by you.
1 декабря 2015 Господь говорил со мной, Господь привел меня в больницу в Азию. Многие люди, я вижу, они пришли в больницу. Я вижу очень много людей, которых привозят в больницу. Есть же и тесты, и один из врачей пришел ко мне и говорит, у нас нет оборудования. Будет очень бедственное положение, огромная болезнь придет. Бедственное положение придет в Азию. Это состояние будет как никакое другое. Состояние, которое никогда прежде не видано. Это бедственное положение показал мне Господь, когда Он привел меня в Азию. И это бедственное положение распространится на земле. И Господь назвал в этом пророчестве Индию. Господь еще раз говорил со мной. Он привел меня в Индию. И Господь привел меня в больницу в Индию, и там очень сильное бедственное положение в больнице в Индии. Господь назвал Индию в пророчестве. Нет никакого другого народа, наверное, на земле с таким большим кризисом, как Индия. Индия в очень бедственном положении через коронавирус. Этот человек плачет. Он видел столько мертвых в Индии, которые умерли. Такой большой рост COVID-19 в Индии. Господь только что говорил со мной, Он привел меня в Индию. Господь привел меня в больницу в Индию. Там очень бедственное положение. Врачи бегут вверх и вниз. Многие люди переполняют больницы.
The Lord took me into a hospital in India. There's a very big distress there. The doctors are running up and down, and many people flooding into the hospital.
Maharashtra, being the worst hit state in the country, has crossed the 1 lakh mark.
Индия занимает второе место по заболеваемости коронавируса.
second worst hit country by the coronavirus pandemic in the world. With the official data released by the Indian Health Ministry, the country has surpassed Brazil in total number of COVID-19 infections. The country has also recorded its highest COVID-19 cases in the last 24 hours. This is also the highest one-day surge recorded anywhere in the world. 90,800 people have been tested positive for the lethal virus in the last 24 hours. The death toll climbed to over 71,600 after more than 1,000 people lost their lives to COVID-19.
With a record 90,802 new confirmed cases Monday, India has now surpassed Brazil. It stands as the second worst affected country in the world. Some 4.2 million people now have coronavirus in India.
Health authorities in India say the country has now exceeded 4
Господь только что говорил со мной. Он привел меня в Индию.
India has the third highest total worldwide behind the US and Brazil.
Он привел меня в больницу в Индии. И там очень сильно бедственное положение.
Worst coronavirus hit countries in the world has crossed the grim 4 million mark in terms of COVID cases.
The Lord has spoken to me again right now. He took me to India. I see the Lord took me into a hospital in India. There's a very big distress there.
After lapses at Cooper Hospital and Nair Hospital, now another hospital run by the civic body BMC is in the news.
Мы видим больницы в Мумбаи.
From a hospital in Sion has gone viral on social media.
И здесь мы видим пациентов, заболевших коронавирусом. Они лежат здесь рядом, мертвые и живые.
On the bed, even as nurses are walking up and down past these corpses, the ward checking up on COVID patients.
A shocker from Mumbai. A video posted on Twitter by BJP MLA Nitesh Rane shows coronavirus patients in a hospital ward lying next to corpses.
Здесь мы видим, что больницы переполнены людьми.
Run by the city's municipal corporation. At least 7 bodies are seen in the ward as patients are being treated in adjoining beds. Some patients have family members attending to them, apparently ignoring bodies right behind them.
Очень шокирующие снимки мы видим здесь. Драгоценные люди в Мумбаи. Больницы, они просто перегружены. Господь только что говорил со мной, Он привел меня в Индию, Он привел меня в больницу, и люди бегают вниз, вверх.
The Lord has spoken to me again right now. He took me to India. The Lord took me into a hospital in India. There's a very big distress there.
Мы видим здесь мертвые тела, очень шокирующие.
Flooding into the hospital.
The capacity of the mortuary is 45 dead bodies at LMJP, but with the increase in COVID-19 deaths, the mortuary was not able to handle the situation. In 1 week, 108 dead bodies were in LMJP, clammed one over the other. Let's go across to Sherin, who's joining us with more details. But till this point in time, we've played out visuals coming in from Mumbai and the apathy, as far as the handling of the dead bodies is concerned. But now these visuals coming in from LNJP is shocking. Some dead bodies, we're being told, were thrown in the passage.
Well, that is right. The visuals are shocking to say the least, because the capacity of the LNJP mortuary is only 45
dead bodies at a time. But we are seeing that there were, in fact, in last 1 week, there were more than 100 dead bodies that were at the mortuary, and because of which, one after the other, it was getting difficult for the LNJP mortuary, for the authorities to deal with the situation. Now we know that there was, in fact, a number of, on one rack itself, there were 2 bodies that were kept, and there were around 28 bodies that were thrown at the passage because there was no space at all to keep these bodies at the rack. There were few bodies that were around 80 of them were kept on the rack because there are around 40 racks are there. So in each rack, Swati, there were 2 dead bodies. Accordingly, there were 80 dead bodies that were kept there, and the rest of them were in fact left on the passage.
In a disturbing video that emerged on Tuesday, 8 bodies of coronavirus victims were wrapped in plastic and dumped into a common pit in Karnataka's Ballari district. Officials, while maintaining that the bodies were wrapped in plastic as per rules, said that the inhumane treatment will be probed. Chief Minister B.S. Yedurappa termed the behavior of the staff inhuman and painful.
The disturbing visuals that have gone viral on social media. You can see shots on our screens at the moment of a group of men in hazmat suits dumping body bags into a huge pit. What really is going on?
Well, the DC of Ballari Nakul has confirmed that this in fact was the burial of 8 people who had died of COVID-19. Now, of course, very distressing because many times family members cannot access the bodies of those who have died and cannot perform the funeral rites as per their wishes. But the DC confirming this was in fact a disrespect.
Драгоценные люди, мы здесь видим, как эти тела просто недостойно выкидывают в эту яму, потому что у них нет места. Мы видим очень страшные состояния в Индии.
In a shocking case, a COVID victim has been abandoned outside a hospital in Bhopal on Monday night. It isn't clear from these visuals whether the patient was dead or alive at the time that he was abandoned.
Господь только что говорил со мной. Он взял меня в Индию, и Он привел меня в больницу в Индию. И там очень бедственное положение. Многие люди переполняют больницу. А потом это было пророчество с 1.12.2015, а теперь мы видим в 2021 актуальные новости.
The Lord took me into a hospital in India. There was a very big distress there. The doctors are running up and down and many people flooding into the hospital.
A capital on its knees.
Мы видим эти страшные ситуации в больницах Индии.
There is no space. So a patient who needs an ICU comes to the casualty, right? What do I do?
For every 200 patients, only 1 doctor was available.
So many like her are putting in all they can.
So we are struggling.
He's desperately trying to get more oxygen.
पेशेंट यहाँ पे नीचे लेके लेटा हुआ है, कचरा वहाँ पे पड़ा हुआ है
Больницы в Индии полностью, они перегружены. Господь только что говорил со мной, Он привел меня в Индию, привел меня в больнице Индии, там очень бедственное положение. Это специальный репортаж.
The Lord has spoken to me again right now. He took me to India. The Lord took me into a hospital in India. There's a very big
И здесь мы видим сестру Балачи.
Critically ill COVID patients fade away while they wait, sometimes dying before they even reach the door. Balaji! The sister of Balaji Kurapa tried to keep him conscious, but in vain. A father of two, he didn't make it. Ambulances arrive at the emergency doors only to be turned away because there are no beds, unless it's already too late. Inside, doctors and nurses triage patients, prioritizing the very sick and the even sicker. Currently, India accounts for nearly half the new COVID cases on Earth every day. The waiting room at the Guru Tegh Bahadur Public Hospital is a sea of desperation, crammed with people defying Delhi's strict lockdown to seek help.
A hospital in the western city of Bhavnagar.
Коронавирус был пророчествован 1 декабря 2015 и исполнилось это пророчество в январе 2020, и мы видим это страшное состояние коронавируса в Индии. Это душераздирающие сцены, которые мы видим здесь в Индии. Это большая трагедия здесь в Индии. Очень большой кризис, который вспыхнул в Индии.
As India struggles with a catastrophic second wave, heartbreaking scenes playing out outside hospitals in the national capital. The tragic human face of the COVID crisis visible in the folded hands, desperate cries for help, and the heart-wrenching screams when all is lost. 35-year-old Jyoti Chauhan died, waiting outside Gangaram Hospital's casualty ward. The family said they had been searching for a bed since 6 a.m. and they had to face rejection from 15 hospitals before the 35-year-old passed away. Meanwhile, another female patient with low oxygen passed away after she was brought to the GTP hospital. While the doctor tried to save her by giving her CPR and even an injection, all efforts failed. She had been denied admission by 4 other hospitals. Running short of beds, patients could be seen lying outside the emergency ward of the GTP hospital as well.
Господь говорил со мной, Он привел меня в Индию. Господь привел меня в больницу. Там очень бедственное положение. Врачи бегают вниз и вверх, и многие люди переполняют больницы. Пожалуйста, 1 минуту, посмотрите на мою мать. Она умерла. COVID-19 очень тяжкий лег на эту страну. Мы здесь просто перегружены. Наши способности. И слишком много людей здесь в больнице. Мы видим 2 пациента на одной кровати лежат. COVID-19 в Мадхья-Прадеш, в Индии. Это просто слишком, люди просто теряют в борьбе с COVID-19. Больницы просто перегружены. Мы видим, пациенты лежат здесь на полу в больницах. Это как будто живешь в аду, говорит кто-то. Нет кроватей, нет масок для кислорода. Мне нужны лекарства, больше лекарств, но их нет. Господь говорил со мной. Он привел меня в Индию. Господь привел меня в Индию. Господь привел меня в больницу в Индию, и там очень бедственное положение. Врачи, они просто достигли своих границ.
The Lord took me into a hospital in India. There's a very big distress there.
So we are struggling. What do I do?
Врачи просто перегружены с этой ситуацией в Индии. Мы пытаемся помочь, но у нас нет кислородных аппаратов, дыхательных аппаратов. Это в Дели. Их родственники умирают, потому что не хватает дыхательных аппаратов. У них нет кровати. Люди умирают просто в зале ожидания. И массовые сжигания в Индии, сжигают трупов. Господь привел меня в Индию, и там очень бедственное положение в Индии.
The Lord has spoken to me again right now. He took me to India. The Lord took me into a hospital in India. There's a very big distress there.
Ситуация в Индии абсолютно ужасная, душераздирающая. Мы видим, что здесь происходит в Индии. Новодели. Здесь мы видим, как парковочная стоянка превратилась в место, где сжигают тела. Ситуация в Индии абсолютно ужасная, душераздирающая. Мы видим, что происходит здесь в Индии. В Новодели. Тела, сжигают тела. Мертвые тела сжигают здесь.